this is our first time at VIR. It's a pretty complex track, and it's extremely fast. It has a section of S's, slow speed S's that are very technical, and then some high speed, flat out 6-gear S's that you have to get just right. If you're too early on your turn in, you run out of road really quick and you got to lift, and now you're taking weight off the rear end, and that can spell pretty big problems. The problem here is like, okay, here's the end of the straightaway. What's on the other side? Which way does it go? Yeah, grass and guardrail.
Good, bad, indifferent. This track is really tough.
VIR is extremely tough. Very high speed, S's, it's flat out 6-gear, and we're not flat out yet. On the flat parts of the course, we hang with those guys, no problem. It's the S's that, and then over the top and through that where they really blew me off, and it's like, oh, okay. So I know that's the glaring area. The number one thing was to bring it back.
Yeah. It's pretty intimidating.
I came over the radio and said that the track is intimidating because there's a lot of blind corners. You can't see where the track goes, and you're going, really fast. You're 5th gear, 6th gear, that type of thing. And not knowing where the road goes, it's really hard to put your foot down and keep it down and trust where the track goes. You just can't do that here until you've got quite a bit of time behind the wheel on this course to figure everything out.
Lots of clear space behind you now. Focus forward for a bit.
We had Lawrence Loshak as a coach for us at Road America. He knows that place like the back of his hand, and he was able to take the car out. And then you have data to compare what you're doing to what the pro's doing. This week, we brought in Mike Skeen, who has got a lot of time in these R8s and is an incredible pro driver. And so, he's going to go set some data for us out on the track this next session. Then we really know what the car can do, what he's doing and where, and see video of it as well live here. And then, and then I'll start chipping away at it. He's going to help me.
As soon as you turn to initiate, it just flops really hard.
Oh, got it, okay.
And on the brakes at the end of the back straightaway, it feels like it goes down to a bump stop or something on the front even.
Oh, okay.
If you really go on them, it really drops down hard.
Then when you get up to the top, obviously there's more speed to get rid of before you turn left. But my goal, as I come over the crest, I dab the brakes, and you see that low spot. I want to be all the way right, getting into that low spot, and that's where I start turning in.
It's so funny. You do that morning session, and you run a 2-minute lap, and then you put Mike in the car, and you just go, crap. So then the next session, it's like, man, I better go stand on the gas or I'm gonna look like an idiot. So there's motivation there.
A little bit.
So nice and hard on the brakes, ease up to the apex 11, then add a little more pressure, help turn it in for 12. Back to power, track it all the way over the curb.
Let us know if it gets like really pushy or something in the slow stuff. I don't think it will, but usually these, like when we made them stiffer and stiffer on the front, maybe you had to drive it in harder on the nose and trail brake it a little more, but they usually would still, front end works so well, they would still point pretty good.
Kind of attacking this track, learning this track in chunks. You take the high-speed chunks first because that's where the most time is to be made up. One time I almost went off the back straight, think not enough brake pressure initially, and so that just changes into 30 feet, you know. Whoa, daddy. But my God, it's humming down the straightaway. It's a process of building up to it. You know, we're racing in 2 race groups this weekend. International GT is one, and we're running this car fully uncorked, lightest possible weight we can run, and we're gonna go see how good we can do there. And then we have the Trans Am race, which is 1 hour and 10 minutes long, you know, and then we got to prepare for that. That takes place on Saturday. That's 2 days from now. So, you know, we're building up. I've only run 1 session. I've only gotten 5 laps around the course. So the goal here is to get better and better and better on test day, on practice day, and get down to at least within a second, 2 seconds of what I ultimately will be getting down to on Friday. Better lap time there, good 1.5 seconds quicker than we went before, so we're getting down to the nubs now. I mean, we just ran the tires we raced on at Road America, so, you know, they've got, probably 50 laps on them now, so hardly fresh, definitely good for practice, but, you know, it'll be nice to put some stickers on and qualify tomorrow. What's really cool about Virginia International Raceway, they have a gun range here and a charity called Racing for Heroes. And they're all ex-military vets, special ops, Navy SEALs, those kind of guys that can shoot you know, an eyeball out at, you know, 500 yards. And they've got all of these wonderful toys out in the back, you know, 100 you know, acres back here.
Get up there nice and stable, line your front sight up and that rear sight the best that you can.
And we were able to shoot a fully machine gun like they would fighting ISIS over in Iraq.
Positive on, positive off. Shift left, positive on, positive off.
We were able to fire off 60 rounds with tracers and everything into a Ford Crown Vic, which gives me complete pleasure shooting up a Ford. That was a lot of fun. My hat's off to Claudio Burton of the team that runs Tommy Dreesy. He helped sponsor it, as well as Forrest Ed and his new vodka, Trust Me, that they're debuting. They were involved in it as well. So thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. It, you know, kind of is a break from the typical racing action. You know, we were able to go and have a country boil type of dinner, and then we got carted out there, and the grand finale was they put a propane tank out there by that Crown Vic, shot tracers in it, blew it up, and man, caught everything on fire. It was awesome. I was ready to rock and roll, you know, had fresh tires. We were gonna qualify in IGT, you know, I studied video with Mike Skeen and all the different points that I needed to work on the track. You know, we've only had 3 sessions on this track ever, and really not even that many laps. So we're really ready to knock our time down, and I came to the pit, you know, ready to go after an IGT meeting. And, you know, Brad tells me, it's like, hey, we're done.
All the fluid he put in is now on the ground. I can see it with a light. You can see straight down that it's coming out of the bottom of the bell housing.
What do you mean you're done? There's fluid all over the ground, hydraulic fluid from the clutch. We have no clutch, we have no parts. Wow, I had no sign of it yesterday, 0.
We have to have that sealed. Chuck had them in his Lista cabinet box at the shop. Dave's there, and I already mapped it. They're 8 hours away. That's 8.5 hours from here to there. So I don't know how we get those seals.
We got on the phone right away, and these parts just aren't hanging around for an Audi R8 LMS car. But we found a used part in Charlotte, and so we made the drive there and went behind a building where the part was, and the people who worked there had stashed it in a bush because they're all going home for the weekend. So we were able to get that part. So we've got that figured out. We needed some seals. That was coming from Ohio. So, you know, the parts were coming. The only problem is everything was getting here pretty late, you know. I think the final parts got here about 10:30 at night. So, you know, once we knew that we could make this happen, it's like, hey, it's on, you know, we're fixing this car and we're gonna run on Saturday. Here we've kind of got everything laid out in chronological order on how it goes back on the car. We've got the rear diffuser there, the air box for the car, the transmission. I'm cleaning up. Here's the whole clutch pack here. Look how small this clutch pack is, you know, for all this power and abuse that it takes. You know, look how small this pressure plate is. You know, and then all the little components. Look how small this clutch disc is. Isn't that cool? That little tiny thing puts the power to the ground. So, you know, now we're just cleaning up parts that are going to go back on the car. No sense in putting dirty parts back on, you know, the car. Might as well clean it up and make sure everything's sanitary, no dirt and grime and junk in there. So when it goes back together, it's like we put it back together in our shop. So might as well do it right. Well, it's 10:35 Friday night. Dave from Kettler Engineering is showing up. They're the Audi Sport guys, and have got the parts that we need to complete the repair job on the Audi R8. So it's going to take them a couple hours to put things in, you know. So around midnight, 12:30, we should be firing this thing up, making sure we got a clutch, and then we'll shut it down and get some sleep, get here in the morning, get it ready for a 10 o'clock race. Nothing like doing track maintenance.
That's the trick.
Your shop is where your home is for the moment. We got our IGT race this morning, and we are in full Trans Am mode. I mean, meaning we've got the weight in, we got the restrictors in, we got the aero set, we got the ride height set, the way they want us to race this afternoon in Trans Am, just so I get an opportunity to feel what the changes do to the car. It's supposed to slow the car down. The whole reason for the balance of power that they're making us run is the SGT class, the Super GT class, is really based around a Porsche 991.1 car. For the first 3 races that I ran with them, they added, you know, the weight to us, 170 pounds, and you know, that I thought got us pretty close. I didn't lead a lap, I didn't win a race, I didn't get a pole position. So I thought we were pretty close, but you know, I see where they're coming from. You know, the car's strengths were downforce. I'll do whatever they want. You know, I'm not gonna complain about it being unfair until I have data to prove it. A lot of people just complain for complaining's sake. This is unfair, blah, blah, blah. But if you can back it up with data, then it's time to say, hey, look, we need to sit down and have a conversation here. But until I have that, you know, just go race and race as hard as you can. I think really the key is to give it 100%. No matter what things have been implemented on your car to help slow it down, drive 100%.
Start talking to me about the overall balance of the car. Initially, the front end's really light, you know, until the temps came up. And then, you know, it's still light, but it's definitely doable.
This version of the car, although it feels different, it doesn't feel bad. I am surprised. I thought it would be a lot worse. Now, again, you know, we've got a heavy fuel load, so we'll see how the car reacts to that. But I think I can race with it. We'll see. That's the whole purpose of this exercise, is to see if what they've done to us is too much. You know, do we need to get some performance back? I certainly hope they don't need to add more, take more performance away, because I think we're getting pretty close. I think everybody that we compete against is happy with what is being done to the car.
Hey, I'm loving those 53s, dude. Did you see that 53-1?
Hey, not bad. Like I said, you know, we brought the car home in one piece. There was a big spin at the start of the race in front of the whole group, and so everybody had to the Red Sea had to part, and we had to go around the trouble. But you know, after that, I just had to kind of settle down to see what I had. The front end definitely feels light on the steering, and we don't have that front downforce like we're used to. But you know, once I settled down, I ran the same time that I ran in the third session on Thursday. So, you know, that means, you know, I got faster as a driver. And with all those changes to the car, you know, we matched what we did on Thursday. That's pretty good with old tires. So, you know, with fresh rubber on the car, you know, that's easily 2 seconds. So, you know, I don't know. We'll have to see how the race pans out. It's a long race. We've had a pretty big gap, like a 5-hour gap between races today. Since we didn't qualify on Friday, we're starting at the back of the pack, so we're starting last. It is what it is. I'm not disappointed. It's going to be kind of fun, actually. You know, I want to see how good we really are. Let's carve our way through the field and see how close we can get.
Hey, Ken, they said it's going to be a late start and no acceleration prior to the green.
Green this time, Brian.
All right, let's go get it.
Well, you know, the start of the race, we're starting from the back. I've got Davidson in the GT car behind me, so he wasn't going to be an issue. You know, he's going to run his own race all by himself. But I had a Corvette and Milton Grant in his Porsche 911 in front of me.
Green, go.
The goal was to get a good clean start and get by those guys. Unfortunately, it didn't work out that way. You know, the Corvette blocked. Milton was on the outside, and you know, they're racing, so they're defending their position. And it took me a lap before I could get by those guys, and by that time, the fall line Porsches had, you know, put a pretty decent gap on us. So, you know, I just put my head down. Car felt pretty good.
Hey, Herb and I are catching them.
You know, Brad came on the radio and said, you know, you're running 54s, they're running 55s, you're catching them. And then pretty soon I could see I was catching Tom Herb in third place, and he was catching first and second place, Kesman and Bowden in first and second place. So it's like, hey, you know, we might have a shot at mixing it up with these guys here, you know, in about a half an hour. I just put my head down and try to hit my marks and click off as many quality laps as I could. And I think I even ran the fastest lap of the race in our class. You know, we made it to the 52s, which is awesome, which is good for all the weight and all the countermeasures they put on the car. You know, I was catching them and trying to, you know, close the gap, and I was just pushing, and I went and hit the curb entering turn 5, and it was too much, and it spun the car sideways. In the past, I was able to catch it, but I wasn't able to catch it this time, and it's the first time I've spun this car since we've owned it. So went off in the grass, had a little trouble restarting, wouldn't go in gear. Time just flew by, and by that time, you know, I'd thrown the race away. So I was able to get back on the track, you never know what'll happen. Those guys could take each other out. And as it happened, you know, I got another cool move of the race because of my awesome crew for being able to make repairs to the Audi and its clutch until all hours of the night. I mean, we've run 9 races in this Audi, and you know, when we bought the car in December, I didn't really think that that was going to happen. And you know, we're just going to run a couple high-performance driving events and just have fun with it, you know. And as it turned out, we got more and more serious about it. I just want to be able to say I won a Trans Am race, you know, before I die.